Hey guys, hey YouTubers, what's going on? I'm back and you can actually see my hands a bit better today. Um, you could see them in the first place, right? Last week, all you had was Sibelius, and I'm happy to have the hands back with the full 88 keys. And I'm seeing the chat blowing up, which is exciting, so let me say hey to you guys. Who do we got in the house? Camille, hey Camille. Hey Sarah, Sarah Pickles, Lily Mae, you're early. All right. I fly by you. Hey, I love that name. Hey, I haven't recognized your name before. I fly by you. How's it going? Let us know how you found out about the channel and if this is your first lesson with us or not. Sarah says, how are we all doing? I hope that you're all doing good. I'll tell you, I'm doing pretty good, guys. I just had some dinner, and it was my favorite dinner in the world. I actually want to hear from you guys. What did you eat? What was your favorite thing? This is not a pop quiz, by the way. That'll come later. But what was your favorite thing that you've eaten so far this week? I'll tell you what mine is, and that is pesto pasta. That's my favorite, and I just had some leftovers from last night. My wife made the best pesto last night. What are you guys eating at home? In the meantime, how else are we doing here? Lily Mae recorded 8 new songs over the weekend. Jeez, that's intense, Lily Mae. Good job. I loved seeing your Bond cover, the Billie Eilish cover. I can't wait to see what else you got cooking. Who else is in the building? Hey, Lynn. Dave, what's going on? Dave's writing in from Indiana. Cool, cool. JD Voice Talent, what's up, my friend? All right. Tina Miller, hey, you made it on time. Hey, Gail. All right, we're just about to get started. Tina says, we had Hawaiian chicken from Costco. Oh my gosh, Hawaiian chicken's so good. I love all those kind of different like sweet and savory mixes. So good. Sarah Pickles, fish and chips with scraps, burger, nice. That's coming from the channel. The channel's name is Fed. So it looks like this person's not playing around when it comes to food. It just says burger. I like that. Homemade cookies, that sounds great. Yeah, my 12-year-old daughter has been baking a lot as well since they've been home from school. So I've been having banana bread and cookies and brownies every day. It's probably for the best you guys aren't seeing me and you're just seeing the hands. I probably gained 30 pounds since the quarantine. Not really, but I love the sweets. In fact, Charlotte, if you're watching, let me know if you're baking something right now. Sometimes Char likes to check in on these chats as well. All right, everyone, I'm going to play a little bit here because we are writing a song, and that's pretty exciting. I think we've gotten really far along with it. We're actually kind of in the home stretch. We have a bit more to figure out of our B section, and we'll get there. I think that's where we're going to focus our time today. But once we're done with that, basically all we have to do is find a way to bring back our A section and decide if we want to make any sort of tweaks or maybe just make an ending tweak, like an outro. That's different. But we have to make those decisions, but we're most likely going to be reusing a lot of the content from early on, right? We discussed earlier about having a form that is something like ABA, which means we'll have beginning material, and then we'll depart from that, we'll go into a new section, and then we'll come back to the original material. So that's where we are, and I think what I want to do is just play through a little bit of, actually let's play the whole thing. But I need to pull up the notation in front of me because this is a little small from where I'm looking. So give me 1 sec, I'm going to pull it up, and then I'll play through it. So I'm adding a little bit there because that's where we stopped. We got to figure out how that second section is going to end. And we're going to do that today. So before we dive in, let me make sure I'm not missing any questions from you guys. Let's see here. Okay, cool. More food stuff coming through. Hey, Charlotte is in. You are making a peach cake later, you guys. Am I right? I'm coming home tonight to some peach cake. Thank you, Charlotte. That's going to be awesome. You guys just have to promise not to judge me if I gain some quarantine weight here. All right, let's get into our composition. Let me pull up Sibelius. Okay, guys, now I'm in, and you should see some measures highlighting now. So here we have our this is our beginning of our B section here, and then what we see underneath, that's the second half. We did not add melody yet to this, but we will today. And then I'm actually going to just scoot up a little bit here with my notation. Okay, here it was a little bit of our extended ending to the bridge. Remember, our B section doesn't have to just be 8 or 16 measures. What we have is 16 bars for our B section, but then we keep going with this ending. So it's 16 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more bars. It's like a 22 measure section here, so that's pretty cool. We did that, I'll remind you guys, because we wanted to really just milk the ending here and really make it obvious to any listeners that we're coming to the end of the section here. So we did that in a handful of ways, and I'll remind you guys I added this ritardando marking here. That's going to go ahead and actually be our first pop quiz question of the day, so everybody get your fingers ready. What does that symbol mean? I'm looking at that ritardando. What does it mean? I'm looking for the first correct answer. What does that symbol mean? There's a handful of ways you could describe it that would be correct. But I introduced this to you guys last week, ritardando. What does this mean? And I'll remind you guys, for new viewers who are watching, if anyone gets the pop quiz question right, you earn a free song credit in the Playground Sessions song store for your app. So that's pretty exciting. So I am going to just play for a second and let the delay do its thing. Let you guys have a chance to write in. But in the meantime, I'll just kind of play through whatever I feel like. I'm going to make some music up. That was a weird one, but that's okay. Improvisation is fun because you never know what's going to come out. That's what I think, at least. Okay, well, who knows what ritardando means? Let's see who is going to win a free song credit. Hey, Carlos. Hey, Tina. All right. Okay, I'm seeing some answers. Jeff Clem, what's up, my man? Hey, Jeff. Thanks for watching. Jeff, let me know in the chat. Did you find out about this through my other behind-the-scenes live stream? That'd be funny. Playgrounders, for those who don't follow my personal channel, I also have a camera going separately doing a behind-the-scenes right now for this lesson. I want to let people know what we're doing here on the channel. Hey, Jeff. You know, guys, Jeff Clem, who's in the chat, is also a great songwriter, so maybe he can help us out. Jeff, we've been writing a song. We're on week 7 right now, writing music together. All right, let's see who got the first pop quiz question right. Looks like Lynn says, slow down. Good job. Lynn, I think you're the first one that got it right. So Lynn, you win a free song credit. Great work. Honorable mentions go to Lynn, who also nailed it. Gail also got it. Lily Mae, Dave, Fed. You guys, great work. That's what I'm talking about. You guys are paying attention. So let's get back to the song, and we'll pick up where we left off with that pop quiz. So right now, we are looking at the end of our B section here. And so I have a ritardando written in here to let us know we should slow down. Okay, we're going to slow this bit down. That's going to help make it very clear to people that we are coming to a stop, or to the end of a section at least. Now, what else did we do to make this feel like the end of a section? Well, thanks to your guys' democratic process and the chat last week, we landed on something here where we were going to do some inversions, but do broken chords. Not invert all the way up like we first did. That might have been a little difficult. But also not just do block chords either. So we found a compromise here. We were going to start to arpeggiate the chord, right? Do this broken chord pattern. And then invert it one time to give us that feeling of ascension. But then from here, just play the chord and hold it. And we're really going to let this ritardando kick in. In fact, I'm actually going to make it a little earlier. I'd like this to kick in almost at the very beginning of that measure. I'll just stick it here for now. But remember we talked about having more rhythms in the measure, like these quarter notes, allows us to mark the ritardando more often, right? There are more notes for us to slow down gradually. If we only had two notes, for example, it'd be hard to gauge how much we're slowing down because we only have one note to the next note. But if we have 6 notes like we have right here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, we can slow each one of those down a little bit by a little bit, and we'll really be able to hear that effect. So I think we have landed in a good place here. And just to remind you guys, I'll take it from this measure here at the beginning of the line. We had G minor, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So those 2 measures of quarter notes really allow us to milk that ritardando. All right, guys, we need a melody. So I'm going to scoot back up here with our notation. Now what we're seeing here is the full, well, I should say the beginning of the bridge. Let's call it the B section. The beginning of the B section. Now, we talked last week about how we were going to set some expectations in music and then either deliver on those expectations for the listener or break those expectations for a certain effect, right? So we talked about that in a handful of ways. We were talking about it in this section in particular because we wanted to know how much of this melody from the first half we should repeat in the second half. Okay? We talked about the fact that we're changing from major up top, G major, down to a G minor. Right? So that's already enough of a shift. In fact, we've already changed expectations by putting that C minor chord in at the top up here. That is sudden, and that is actually like the 4 chord of G minor. So I'm playing that as a pivot chord to get us to G minor. So that is enough of a deviation from the expectation we've already set. So because we've already deviated, it's my suggestion that we retain a lot of the melody from up top. In other words, we're changing the harmony, right, from major to minor. So let's see if we can keep a lot of the same melodic shape and make that effect just even more impactful, right? In other words, if I have a melody, I'm just making up a melody, and I do that over major, and then I do the same thing but in minor. Let's do this. But I have to change that one note to make it minor. Otherwise, it's the same melody. Then it really just sells that a little bit better, I think. So that's what I'm going to recommend that we do. And in order to get started on that, I want to just play through. I'll play through these again. All right. We're going to start with the top 8 bars of the B section. I'm going to play it through once as written, and then we'll discuss. I'll look back to the chat and see if you guys have some suggestions for me. Okay, ready? This is the measure before what you see on screen. And then here we are. Okay, that's what we got so far. I really love it. I got to check back in the chat with you guys, and then let's see if we can make some decisions. All right. Should have thought of that Saw my neighbor's kids. Yep, yep, yep. Jeff, I saw the behind the scenes. Sweet. Okay, hey Lauren. Lauren Anderson's in. My wife's in too, guys. Everyone say hey to Lauren Anderson. Excuse me. All right, so I need your guys' help in the chat. We've just come down to, we've dropped down an octave, down to this E flat for C minor. Now we're here. So from this D, we need to make some decisions. We have some measures to fill in. Now I'm not going to ask you guys to just throw out random letters, but instead I'll propose a couple of options, and maybe you guys can help by voting on some options. So, hey Kofivi, how's it going? All right, where were we? All right, we've got D here. So we've also established a pattern, right, of going up and up and up with the melody. We're creeping up a little bit here at the top of the B section. And then, thanks to a suggestion from Stu Last a couple weeks ago, which I loved, he said, let's drop it down an octave and change modes, right? So we went, and then suddenly, bum, 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 bum. That's super cool. So here's what I'm going to ask you guys next. We've just done a cool thing. Bum, 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 bum. I don't like to do cool things just once. I like to either repeat it or do a variation of it. So it's like we're evolving it. So how would we define this? I would say we're suddenly jumping in a direction and we're skipping a lot of notes, right? So we're way up here, and all of a sudden we've jumped down. So how could we possibly do something like that again to make it feel like we're doubling down on this idea? Well, you could either continue to jump down an octave again, or maybe we jump up this time. Maybe we jump up 2 octaves. Well, let's not get too far up in the staff for ledger line's sake. But that's what I'm talking about. I want to use what we've already done that has been so far underdeveloped and see if we can develop it more to fill in the blanks here. So I'm going to see what that might sound like. I'm going to play with it for a second, see if I can achieve that same kind of sudden jump in the melody. Let's see what we can come up with. Well, that's one way to do it there, kind of taking some of the same rhythmic devices from earlier, like the quarter, 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 and then dotted half. So bum, 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 bum. That's what we do to get into measure 29. And then I kind of did the same thing down an octave again. And then I jumped up and changed notes, and now I've gone up, but I've kept that rhythmic device. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So what do we think? Is anybody getting inspired by any of this? Do we want to try and do this jump, this big sudden interval jump as a way to develop a motif? Or do we want to go with a different avenue? Let's start there, and let me hear from you guys in the chat. Let me know if you're following along with what I'm saying here in terms of developing that idea of jumping an octave and all that. All right. Charlotte says, hi, Mom. That's funny. Are you guys all watching from different devices? Hey, everyone, let Charlotte know. Actually, oh, you're already asking. Cool. I was going to say, Charlotte just started in playground sessions, and we're super excited. So she's got the PG 150 in her room. She's got the iPad app, and she just got started. Charlotte, let people know what songs you're learning. Lily Mae is around your age, I think, maybe a little bit older. But she's been playing with Playground for years now, I think, and it's been awesome to see her grow. And Char, no pressure, but I'm excited to see you grow too. So I hope you dig it. All right, so let's see what people are saying in the music here. Lily Mae, maybe go down another 2 notes. Let's see. Okay, Camille's saying different avenue. I love Camille's just honest. Camille's like, all right, this is my song too. Here's what I'm thinking, and I love that, Camille. In fact, that really helps us get to the bottom of stuff, because if we're too afraid to kind of say no to my ideas, then I'll be writing this song. So I appreciate that voice, Camille. Okay. Oh, Lily Mae, you're 12 too. Awesome. Okay. All right, I'm seeing different avenue. All right. Go down another 2 notes. Okay, well, I'm seeing 2 suggestions now that have to do with the song. I'm going to see if I can make something work with both of those. So one says, go down another 2 notes. That's from Lily Mae. Another note says, let's go down a different avenue. That's from Camille. So let me see what I can do here. I want to stay true to my promise that we are going to write this song together. So I want to always hear from you guys. Shar, I'll show you some of Lily's videos later on. She's got an awesome channel. And in fact, Lily, I was telling Shar it might be time for her to start a channel, a YouTube channel maybe for some of this stuff. So you guys will have to link up. Maybe you can give her some advice. Okay, so where is my Sibelius? So go down another 2 notes. Let's see what that might feel like, Lily Mae. So we're up here, and then we go boom, 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 boom. What if we went boom, 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 boom. So there, Lily Mae, I've taken the same kind of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 rhythm, and I've gone down another 2 notes, like you said. What do you think of that? Boom, 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 boom. It's kind of cool. It's nice to put this B flat over the C minor chord. When you put the minor 7 on a minor chord, you wouldn't think that it would do this, but it kind of, you know, in a way, it kind of smooths it out a little bit. It makes it almost feel less minor. And there is a theory reason for that, by the way, that I won't get too deep into, but a C minor triad looks like this. When we add the flat 7 here, if you can tell, if we remove the C, we're actually now looking at an E flat major chord. So adding the flat 7 makes a major chord on top of the minor chord's root. That's why it kind of feels a little less sad, right? It's a little bit less minor. But I love the flat 7 on minor chords. So I think that melody there achieves what Lily Mae was asking. And it also achieves what Camille was saying, which is let's not go down that other road. So that's cool too. So what do we think, guys? Let's get some votes on this. I think Lily Mae is saying that you like how that sounds. Cool, me too. Let's back up a little bit and I'll play from a little earlier so we can hear it in context. Ready? Oops. Then, what if we kept going down? What do we think? I like that for what it's worth, but I want to hear from you guys. Let's see what's happening here. Tina, I want to make sure I'm catching all the chats. Tina, you're 12 too? Hey! That's funny. Me too, guys. Cool. Yes, Gail, you like that. I agree. It's a bit brighter. I think what I was doing before with the sudden jumps up and down octaves, that's a little too dissonant maybe for what we want right now. So remember, we got to get back to B flat major. That's where our first section was. And that's one reason I wrote in the F chord at the end. Remember, the F chord is the 5 chord of B flat. So when we got to there, it allowed us to go back to B flat. So we're already heading to a place where we're getting less minor and we're getting more and more back to our major first section. So I agree, guys. I think that's the right decision to not have this jumpy, unexpected twisting melody anymore, okay? We've had that effect to go down here to minor, but now that we're here, let's chill out in this area a little bit and let's keep going with Lily Mae's suggestion for the melody to do this. And I like going to the C minor here, so I'm going to make a change in our notation. And remember, that's also a crucial part of songwriting. I bet Jeff Clem would tell you the same thing. I bet anybody else in the chat who has written music before would tell you the same thing, that you have to be willing and ready to get that eraser out, right? Or sometimes even crumple up some paper and start fresh. That's okay. That's actually part of the process. So nothing we write is in stone. And I'm going to go ahead and take this chord and change it to C minor. So for now, I'll just pull it over from here and I'll paste it, and we can figure out what we want to do for this chord later. And then I'm going to write that melody in. Okay, so we had a D here. Next measure, we're going to go 3 C's, and then we're going to drop down to a B flat. The B flat is already in the key signature, so it might look like a B in notation here, but we can't forget our key signature. All right, we're making progress. So now we can start to play from the pickups into our second half of this section, basically right from the first C minor chord we see up in the top right. Whoops, I keep messing that up. So it goes, and then part of me likes to go back to here, and then maybe we can deviate from that melodic pattern. Maybe we can go up to something like to the D chord. But for now, I'm going to just copy this 2-measure melodic phrase over, so we're going to repeat that again. And then we need to figure out what we want to do in here. All right, so we've already filled in quite a bit. That's good. And let me check in with you guys. Dave, you're digging it too? Okay, cool, we're making progress. Jeff says, even when a song is finished, we can always add or change things to apply our new knowledge to make it better. That's exactly right. Guys, I want to give a quick shout out to Jeff Clem, because he is like a grade school teacher and a super good musician, and he actually puts on a great live stream every day at 11 a.m. Eastern time for kids. So if you guys have young kids, toddlers or young grade school, I'll let Jeff speak to that a little bit more, but my 2.5-year-old daughter Gemma loves the show. His show is called Mr. Jeff, and it's just a great little dose of positivity for kids that are at home, specifically having to do with music. So Jeff is really great at getting kids excited about music. Check out Jeff. There's that plug, Jeff. Check him out, everyone that's got kids at home. It's super fun. And he's absolutely right. You know, in fact, sometimes that can even be a crutch, because you could have a finished song, but you might think, oh, wait, I got to go change this. Or, oh, wait, that one note, I don't like that anymore. You know, one of the challenges of being a songwriter is knowing when to revise something, but then also when to call it a day, right? When to say, you know what, that's that song now, and we're going to move on to a different song to start a different, you know, idea. So that is the balance, and you'll get better at that with more experience, okay? The more you write, the more you'll see and refine your process. All right, let's get back to the tune. I'm going to pull up Sibelius again, and I'm going to just write some stuff in, guys. We can fill in the left hand more. Right now, all we're seeing is dotted half notes. That might be what we decide to keep, but for now, I will keep plowing forward with the right hand. And I'll tell you what, as I look at the screen, I am seeing, and guys, you know what? I'm seeing a bunch of people in the chat. I'm going to let Jeff answer those questions. Jeff, feel free. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're taking over, because I think you offer a great service. But I'm going to keep going in the music, but I hope you guys will continue in the chat, and I hope, Jeff, you'll let everybody know. Okay, so as I look at the notation, I'm seeing a lot of this pattern, right? Of this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That pattern, that rhythmic pattern that we see. I'm seeing quite a bit of it. I see it throughout the top, the first half, and I'm also seeing it now in the melody in the second half. So what my mind is now starting to tell me is, let's get away from that a little bit as we approach the end of this section. Now, there's no right or wrong way there, right? There's a lot of different correct sounding melodies we could do. So part of the process of writing music is eliminating some of the options, because if you always have infinite options for every note and every measure, it'll just be paralyzing. So I like to lean on patterns and themes and things like that, in part because it makes the music sound better, I think, but also just from a practicality standpoint, I think it's just easier to narrow down your options by finding something like that instead of saying, which note from the 88 keys should I choose, right? Okay, so if we're going to start to deviate from that now, then we have a little bit more options than usual now. So that can be scary, that can be freeing. Let's figure it out. Let's see what we like. I'm going to play through a bit, and I'll just remind everybody that this is another part of songwriting. Playing stuff and trial and error. And you see, you know, does this sound good? Yes. Okay, cool. Maybe I'll keep it. Does that sound good? Not really. Maybe I won't. It seems like a very basic, you know, formula, but it's true. It just works. Trial and error really works here. So I'm going to play a little bit more here. Trying to figure out how we're going to get to this F major that we know is crucial to allow us to change keys back to B flat major. Well, we're in G minor now, so we're not technically changing key signatures. But the F chord is the 5 chord of B flat major, so in effect, we're retonicizing B flat. Now, I know that's a weird term. I won't go deep into that, but basically what we're doing is we've been in this mode of G minor, and that is strengthened very much so by this D chord, which I guess I erased, but we will be putting in here in this B section. And also C minor. So that's like the 1, 4, 1, 5, 1 of G minor. You can't define G minor anymore if you tried, okay? And when I say define, another way to say that would be tonicize. We're making G minor sound like the tonic or the 1 chord. And we tonicize it by toggling between the 1 and the 5 chord. So if we wanted to tonicize a different note, we would change keys. But we're going to stay in the same key here. B flat major and G minor are relative keys. So we're not changing keys, we're just retonicizing B flat by simply playing the 5 of B flat, F. Now B flat sounds like 1, right? Because we played the 5 chord. That pivoted back to B flat. So we have to end there, and I'm seeing a suggestion here from Lily May. Maybe start getting more soft in the melody. Yeah, love it, of course. And we know that when we eventually get back to our A section material, we have it's not a busy melody, but it's a melody that doesn't rest very often. So we're going to have a full melody coming out of this too. We don't always need to fill every measure in, right? And so that's a reminder I need to tell myself often, actually, to get comfortable with the space and some rests. So I like that idea, Lily May. Let's see. Camille says in the last 3 bars, I would go with 6 quarter notes up and down, like arpeggio, and in the last bar, a dotted half note. Okay, so in the last 3 bars, excuse me, I wonder if you mean here, Camille? Are we talking yeah, that's got to be it, because that's all you guys see on screen. I see. Okay, I can see a little bit more, but yeah, I'm with you now. So for these 3 measures, all right, you would go with 6 quarter notes up and down like an arpeggio, and the last bar, a dotted half note. Okay, hey, there's a specific idea, and we're going to play it out. I love it. Thank you, Camille. Sarah has a cool idea too, a swoop up and then a dreamy spiral down. Man, I love that. You know, that actually just goes to show that you can talk about music without using some of the jargon of theory and things like that. You can describe it by what it feels like, what it sounds like, and we can communicate, right, about music in that way, which is super cool. So we're going to try that soon in a second too. Camille, let's first get your idea down here. So I like what you're saying. You're saying up and down like an arpeggio, outlining a chord. So let's see what we can do. What if we did something like this? That would be something I talked about last week. And in fact, why don't we make that our second pop quiz question? That's right. Here's our second pop quiz. you guys have the opportunity to win another free song credit for the app. We talked last week about crafting a melody, right? We talked about how there are certain things you can lean on to know that there are correct notes that you can pull from. In other words, we can use scales, right, to know that the notes from that scale will work and the notes that are not in that scale will not work. That's a very basic way to kind of put a framework around your options for what notes you might want to do in the melody. Again, if you have infinite options, it's difficult, but if you narrow it down by using things like, for example, like a scale, then you then limit your options and it's easier to choose notes that you know will work. So we talked about that last week. We talked about using scales. You can go up or down at any point in a scale in that key and it'll sound good. But there's something that we risk when we only use scales and stepwise motion to create melodies. We don't have many jumps. I like contrast. I don't always want to do jumps, but I also don't always want to do stepwise motion. Sometimes I want to do this, right? Or this. Whatever it is, there's something to be said for having variety in the motion that you're doing in your melody. So this brings me to the pop quiz question. Excuse me. If we want to add some jumps in our melody, what is the device that I talked about last week that you could lean on to know that you are, again, choosing from notes that you know will work, but have a built-in jump in them? Can anybody remind me what I was talking about last week? What is another thing we can do to choose melody notes from that is not scales and allows us to have some jumps already built in? Can anyone remind me? In the meantime, I'm going to start to write some stuff down in this melody up here, and we can always tweak it after we write it down. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to just write your answers in the chat. And I'm curious who's going to win the next free song credit. All right, so we did this. I'm going to write that down for now, and then we can look at it together. So I'm going to take the idea of doing an arpeggio up and back down. Ooh, we're getting pretty high up there. It's okay. And then we're going to come back down. And then I'm going to make that a dotted half note. So that was Camille's suggestion right there. Not necessarily for those notes, but for the structure of the melody here, going up and down through a broken chord with quarter notes, and then landing on a dotted half note. So that is one way we could do that, and I'll play this now. Actually, let me put the chord back in too. I guess we'll do another G minor here, and then I'm going to change this back to the D chord that I erased earlier. So I'll move that down to A, that one down to F, and we need to put an F sharp on that as well. All right, so this, and then, wait, sorry, last thing, chord symbol. All right, so now we're looking at something like this. That's pretty cool, and in fact, we've kind of offset the phrase by a measure now. In other words, by putting 3 G minor chords here and then landing on the strong 5 chord on that 4th measure, that kind of shifts us a little bit. It kind of makes us wake up a little bit as listeners. which I think is the exact kind of effect that we want here. So I'm going to now look ahead a little bit to the next line down. And in fact, I'll go ahead and bring it up in the video. Okay. So we had this G minor kind of left over from before. I knew that I just wanted to get us to F, but I didn't know how we were going to get there. So now that we're making our way through this stuff, I feel like we need to revisit. And I'm feeling like we don't want to leave this D chord too soon. After all, we just said it, and I don't want to just change it in the next measure. So I think we should either play it again or tie it. But since we're coming to kind of a stop here soon, I think we should tie it. And then for now, I'm going to erase this measure. I think we should probably have another melody note here so we're not just holding everything for 2 measures, but let's see. We're going to piece this together a little bit by a little bit. Ooh, what if we tied the second G minor to the third G minor? That would help a little bit. Well, let's see. I'll ask you guys. Let's vote on that in the chat. Do we like the tie to this one right here? And I'll play it again so you can hear it. Ready? Now we're on screen. Ready? That's pretty cool if you ask me. But there's a handful of ways we could do this that would work. I want to make sure that you guys are participating here too and that your voices are being heard. So let's chat about this. Let's see where you guys want to take it. Hey, Mike Anderson's in the building. Guys, my whole family's hanging out. Mike is my dad. I think some of you may have met him last week. This is fun. Well, Dad, we're still writing this song and we're putting it together. I think we're doing great today, and we're still doing good on time too. So I am feeling like we're definitely going to finish this section today. All right, Gail likes it. Mike, you liking how the song's coming together? Yep. All right, you like the tie? Sweet. That's what I'm talking about. Lynn, Carlos, you guys are digging the tie. Lily Mae. All right. Can I play both? Yeah, Sarah, that's a good point. If we're going to be comparing these options, let me play both. Okay, so here is no tie. Here's no tie. Ready? Doesn't sound bad, right? This is the tricky part in writing music. When you got more than one option that both sound good, how do you decide? So there it is without the tie. One more time here with the tie, and then we'll see what you guys think. I need your help. I need your help to make a decision. So Sarah, now you got both back to back. What are you feeling? Randy saying yes to tie. Camille, you'd leave the rest in the melody in bar 37, or tie from previous bar to get some rest in the melody. Good point, good point. So let's check that out. Bar 37, let me make sure I'm... Okay, yeah, I think it feels good to not do anything here as well. So I'll go ahead and tie this over. Tie it, tie it. Seems like people are voting for ties. I'll let it happen for another couple seconds here. We'll see. Yeah, tie. Okay, tie's taking it. You guys win. All right, cool. So we'll keep it tied. And all right, let's see what we got. Now we basically just need to figure out what's going to happen here to allow us to get to F. And this is going to be a little sensitive here because we only have one measure, but we have to get from this D chord, which, as we know, is the 5 chord of G minor. It's been helping us tonicize G minor for so long. right? Now we're here. It's definitely going to make it feel to the listener like we're going to go back to here, right? But instead, we have to find a way to go from this D chord to somehow get to this. So we can go back to that. All right, we'll get there. So how can we do this? It feels like it should probably be chord related instead of melody related. Let's at least decide on that. So what I mean by that is, basically we're holding this D chord. Should we then do some kind of a melody that takes us to the next chord in the left hand? Or should we do some sort of an additional chord that might help us pivot to that F right there? I'm thinking chord, but let's play it out. Let's see what we think. Now from D to F, I guess what we want to do is probably first find a chord that works in both B flat major and G minor. And right now we're not on one, right? This chord does not work in the key of B flat major. And that's why we see an accidental on it. That's why we see that sharp symbol right there, and on this one too, because we're out of the key temporarily for that chord. In other words, in this key signature of two flats of B flat major or G minor, Fs are natural. They're not supposed to be sharp. But here we see an accidental on that chord. This chord works in G minor because that F sharp is the leading tone that gets us back to G. It helps us tonicize the G minor. But this chord does not exist in the key of B flat major. So is there a D chord in B flat major? Is there a chord that starts with a D in B flat major? Well, I'll say there is one, but then the question is, what is it? What is that chord? Here's actually an opportunity for a third pop quiz. In the key of B flat major, what chord do we have that is built from a D? Is it a D7, a D dominant, a D major, a D minor, D diminished? What is the D chord in the key of B flat? Does anybody know? This might be a tough one because I don't think I've talked about this one yet. So here's an opportunity for a little bit of an extra bonus question. And while you guys are writing your answers, I'm going to look at my personal Facebook real quick here and just say to everyone that's been watching behind the scenes, I hope you liked it, and I hope you'll consider checking out The Real Thing. I saw Jeff Clem popped over from my personal and was hanging out with me in the lesson. Anybody else that is curious, come check it out. And we're going live every week on the Playground channel. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys now. But YouTube channel, I'm still going to stick around with you. We got some work to do still. And I'm just going to play for a second. There we go. I'm just going to play for a second while I let you guys write in. Okay, so where are we? Does anybody know what this chord is? Dave Kolash, my man, you were the quickest. D minor, that is correct. Lily Mae, Camille, good job, you guys got it too. Dave, you were the quickest on that one, so you've got a free song credit. And don't forget, everyone, if you're a winner for these pop quizzes, all you got to do is email support@playgroundsessions.com and say, hey, I want a free song credit last night or tonight, whenever you write it. In Phil's live lesson for a pop quiz, and they will issue it to your account. Okay, good work. So let's get back to it. The reason I asked that question is because we're already playing a D chord here, right? We're playing a D major chord in first inversion, but in root position it would look like this. That's a D major chord. So we're on this chord, and I'm thinking, how do we get to this F major? Well, I just let you guys know that in the key of B flat major, actually you let me know, that D minor is in the key of B flat, right? D major is not, but D minor is. So this is D minor. Now what's cool about changing from D major to D minor is that two of the notes stay the same. So automatically it's going to sound, at least from a voice leading perspective, it's going to sound good. Right there. Now once we do that, look at this. Now we're on this, trying to get my fingers out of the way. Now we're on this chord right here, D minor in first inversion. Look at where we're going, by the way. The F chord is right here. Look at that. So I found the pivot chord, guys. That's it. We're playing a D major chord in first inversion, and then we have a measure where we're not sure what we're going to do, and then we land on F major. Well, if we use D major and then hit D minor, and then hit F, that might work. We'll figure that out in a second, but at the very least, I really like going from D major to D minor there. In part because we've already gone from major to minor in G, right? So now we're kind of imitating that whole motion just with this one chord. D major, now going to D minor. However, the reason we're going to D minor is so that we can eventually get back to our major chord. So we're not getting minor again, we're eventually getting major. But in order to do that, it's interesting because we have to take our D major chord and make it minor. All right, let's see what that might feel like in the context of all of this. That's one way to do it. We're getting much closer. I thought going to the D minor was super cool, but what I didn't like is that I felt like I didn't have enough time still from the D minor to get into this. So I'm actually now starting to feel like we might need a little more time. I'm going to scoot this material over by one measure. I'm going to move my double bar line. And for now, I'll even put it here. So it's a nice clean 8-bar phrase. There's that. And then I'm going to move my retardando over. Okay. All right, so now if I wanted to, I could do D minor, and I could also tie that. And notice a natural symbol automatically appeared here. That's because my notation software knows we're in the key of B flat major still. This sharp from before in this measure, some people might think it's going to automatically carry over into the next measure. So this natural is sort of a courtesy natural to remind you. And specifically, we go from this chord, then we natural the F sharp down to F natural. And we could put another D in the melody here. And again, I'm going to lean on Lily May's suggestion to keep the melody pretty chilled out here. All right, now let me play what we see on screen. Now, getting from D minor to F, there's almost not enough of a change. D minor and F major are practically the same chord for most intents and purposes. So I almost feel like now that we've gotten to our D minor chord, now we are technically belonging to the key of B flat still, right? As Dave let us know in the pop quiz, D minor is in the key of B flat. So we're there. But I almost think we need another chord now between this chord and the F. Now, guys, here's a bold thought. What if we just played B flat major? Remember, we don't want to just choose from infinite options from scratch every time. We want to think about what we're trying to do here and make sure we're staying on track. We've already established that we're trying to retonicize B flat major. That's one reason why we've really prolonged this F major thing at the end. So what better way to do it than to actually start it with B flat before even going to the F? Now we can do that because once we get to our D minor chord here, we now can be playing around in the key of B flat again without needing a pivot chord. So what if we just went, right? There's a second inversion B flat major chord. That felt pretty good. So we're here, and then we go to minor. And then what if we went to B flat major? And then went to F. Guys, I love that, but it's going to require us to add an extra 2 measures. So I'm going to just keep things moving here. And to do this, I'm actually going to get rid of our second chord here. What I might do instead is just put a fermata on top of that. I'll explain that in just a second. I'm going to shorten the ritardando here. And I am going to add, well, I'll just scoot this over 2 more measures again. All right, from here, then we went to F. A B flat chord, which I thought sounded really nice coming out of the D minor. Another case to be made here for voice leading too, by the way, guys. Going from D major to D minor, all you do is change 1 note. And then going from this inversion of D minor, then going to B flat major, again, all we're doing is changing 1 note. Now it's the middle note. It doesn't get much more satisfying than that when we're talking about voice leading. Now, the D in the melody also works over the B flat. So Lily Mae, it doesn't get more chill than this, unless we were just resting. But what we see is just some held out Ds, all right? Now, when we get to this part here, I'm going to encourage us to change that note to something else, but we'll get to that in a second. What I want to do is make sure we're feeling this here. So here's our melody from here to here. Let's make a final decision here. Actually, before I play it, I need to check in with you guys. Okay, D minor. That was from that. Okay, when you talk about chords, it sometimes sounds like Latin. Sorry, Sarah. Maybe I'm going too fast with some of the chords. Good point. I'll try and slow it down a bit. Okay. All right, here's where we're at. Oh, we're so close. Can't you guys hear it now? We're really getting there. All right, we need to add a fermata on the left-hand chord in the last measure. A fermata is that little symbol right there. And what it means is basically just hold that chord, whatever note or chord the fermata is on top of, or sometimes it's underneath, I guess. Whatever chord or note a fermata is attached to, you're going to hold it and essentially stop counting. It basically means come to a rest. Not a rest like silence, but come to a stop and hold it. So I'll explain. Ready? I'll take it from, I'll do these 3 measures. Ready? So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And then we're not going to count to 3. We're just going to hold. And then whenever we're ready, we'll move on. We'll get to that later. But that's what that symbol means, fermata. And I'm going to ask you guys to remember that because most likely it's going to be a pop quiz question next week. And I want you guys to be getting free song credits in the app. So a fermata means to hold. Now technically, I think it means hold it for at least 1.5 times the amount of the note value. So what we see here is a dotted half note. That would mean we're going to hold it for 3 counts, and then half of that would be like a count and a half, so like 4.5 beats. But, you know, I don't know if people really follow that so directly. I think fermatas typically just more so mean we're going to pause for a second here, and then you can feel when you want to go into the next thing. Or if you're following along with a conductor, the fermata would mean basically watch the conductor, Okay, now we're moving on. But for pop quiz purposes, the definition can just be just pause for a second and then move on, okay? That's called a fermata. Now, guys, I love this. All we need to do is fill in these 3 bars. So what I did there when I was just kind of playing around was to change the note in the right hand to a note that would work over the F chord, specifically a note that is in the F chord. So I was playing D's for so long. I thought maybe it would be nice to go down to C, because that's one of the chord tones here in F. That's one way. But here's something to think about. We know that the 5 chord in general, in any key, is one of the most defining chords, right? We've already talked about that. In part because it's a dominant 7th chord. When we have a 5 chord that's just a triad, like this, we can't tell if it's a dominant 7th chord or just a major chord, right? But when we have a 4-note version of the 5 chord, it will always be a dominant 7th chord. Now, the feeling of tension and release when we have a 5 chord to a 1 chord is more greatly achieved if we have that flat 7 in there. So there's a resolution that's built in from 5 to 1. Here's 5, here's 1. The resolution is this note moves to a half step to the B flat. And a half step resolution is the most satisfying voice leading you can get. All right? But what happens if we add that flat 7 to the 5 chord? If we play it as a dominant 7th chord, then we have actually 2 different half step resolutions. We still have this one, but now we have the E flat moving down to the D of that chord as well. So in general, when we want to tonicize a chord or define a key, we want to use the 5 chord, and it will help even more if we make it the full dominant 7th chord. Sorry, Sarah, if that feels like Latin. You don't have to understand this stuff to be able to play this, but I just wanted to kind of bridge the gap there and let you guys know that there's a kind of a reason to all of this madness. So my feeling here is that we could actually strengthen our eventual arrival to the key of B flat by including that E flat somewhere. Could either be here, or we could put it in the melody. Now, since E flat is just a half step away from D, and that's where we've been for so long in the melody, it might be nice to go up a half step to E flat. Let's try that. Or maybe we put it on the final chord. That might be better. So we got D, D minor. Oh, I think I might have lost my camera. If so, that's all right. Wait, did I? No, something just beeped. But looks like I'm still alive. Okay, cool. Well, we're wrapping up anyways, guys. What we need to do is we're going to just put some notes in here. My camera might be dying soon. It just gave me a mean sound. So I'm going to wrap things up, but I want to put a melody in here for now that we can tweak next week. So I'm actually going to do this. We've got 3 measures here in the right hand. I'm going to go down to C, and then I'm going to walk up. All right, so then instead of C again, what I'm going to do is D, then E flat. Let's see what that feels like. It might not sound good right here, but we're going to find out. All right, I'm still not fully satisfied, but I think we're making progress. I think this is actually a good place to stop it. Not just because my camera's getting hot, but because we actually have a functional melody and chords, or I should say left-hand part, for our entire B section now. Now, sometimes it's good to get some progress done and then leave it while you're ahead, honestly. Because you don't always want to end your writing session feeling burnt out or feeling like, oh, now I have no more ideas, so I'm going to stop. And we already know how valuable it can be to revisit something a week later. So what I think we've done here is great. We've got something down, it works, and I think we've had a productive day. I say we leave it here. Next week we'll come back with fresh eyes and we'll see if we still like this ending or not. Next week, guys, I think might be our last one, at least for this composition. Now, we'll still continue to go live weekly with you guys, but it might be time to vote on a new topic. Now, this has been a super fun time composing, and I think we're going to have a great product as a result. And I definitely want to do more of these in the future. But my question would be, do we want to do more composition immediately? Or do we want to switch things up a little bit? Maybe teach some more stuff, talk about some technique stuff, some songs, any of that stuff. That's where my head is right now. And then maybe we can do that and then come back and write more, write another song another time. But I'd love for you guys to put in the chat right now to wrap things up. And I'll play for another minute or two so you guys can write. I would really, really love to hear your thoughts on anything you'd like to do. Let me know if you'd like to do more composition. If you'd like to specifically not do more composition, you can write that too. You don't have to have a suggestion for what else we do. Or if you do have a suggestion for something new, write that. That will help me a lot, and it will help you guys too, right? It'll help me deliver the content that you guys want. So again, I'm loving the democratic nature here of how we're making decisions. I'm going to play for a bit here, and then I'm going to check the chat one last time and say bye to you guys. And we can maybe get a sense of what we might start to be doing in the month of May. What up? Hey, K. Wilson Music. What's going on, my man? Nice to see you. We're just wrapping up the lesson. Oh, Gail says you see my hands moving. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think I lost the camera. Yeah, man. K. Wilson, let's link up sometime. And we're going to be doing this next week as well if you want to join the action. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's right, Gail. We're going to marinate on this. It's helpful. It's actually part of the process, I would say. Exactly, Tina. We're going to put a fermata on the composition for now. We'll pick it back up next week. That's great. Gail says, will the music be posted in the Facebook group? Gail, yes, I'll go ahead and do that as well tonight. And I'll do it the same way I did last week, where I'll kick out an image and I'll post it in the group for sure. Great work, everyone. Annette, yes. Gail, we should learn some more about those techie terms after the song is done. Not a bad idea, Gail. Maybe we can focus on some of the theory stuff that was difficult about our song. Maybe stuff that I skated over or stuff that I explained that felt maybe like it was over some heads. Maybe we can revisit some of that. That's a great idea. Tina's saying, I seriously need to learn how to play Boogie Woogie, Sentimental Journey or something. Boogie Woogie is so fun, Tina. It'd be fun to do a lesson on that style because there's almost a way you can do it for all difficulty levels. It's not easy for beginners, but you don't have to do a big stride pattern. You could even just do something like this. So Tina, actually try this along with me, if you could. We're going to get in C position in the left hand. But I'd like for you to do it with this. 5, 3, and 2. And then 1 on A. That's your position. You play those notes one at a time. Then bring your second finger over to B flat and walk back down and do all that backwards. And just repeat that. And then intermediate, you might decide to kind of kick it up and do octaves like this. You could add rhythm. And then for advanced, you could even jump up and do some more kind of like. I'm not the best at that, but I typically would even do it like this. Kind of that intermediate advanced style, but I would get kind of funkier with the chords. But my point is, I'm not trying to intimidate you. My point is, you could even get away with doing something like this if you're swinging. Just having some fun like that. For some beginners out there, that might be achievable. So I hope you'll mess with that in the meantime, Tina, because that's kind of a fun pattern that you can get a little bit more oriented with that pattern. All right. So Camille's saying, once we complete the composition, we should get back to theory lessons. Dave's saying, I got a lot out of composing, but could benefit from theory. Sarah's saying theory. Okay, so actually Sarah's saying sight reading, ledger lines, what's a sustain pedal, how to use it. Yep, so we could put that, that's not necessarily theory, but we could put that into the same category of like explaining some of the technique or some of the terms or some of the things we're seeing that are cloudy, including ledger lines, great point. Yep, yeah, and this song actually, we accidentally made a good example in the right hand for a song with ledger lines. We got pretty high up there, so we could talk about that. Annette is saying, you've been missing a lesson, can possibly have to say to soccer, go back and learn about meet me in the beginning. I'll appreciate it. God bless. You have a same day. Annette, thank you for writing in. Yep. Okay, and then Camille's saying, a lesson about improv with blues scale. Okay, so here's what I'm gathering right now. We got some good ideas. I'm gathering we want to take a break from composing, and I think that's the right move. So we're going to finish with a bang next week. We're going to wrap up our song, and then we're going to decide together next week what our topic is going to be. And I think there's some good suggestions. I think we can get back into some theory, right? We did Theory 101, and we took a little break. We could get back into some of that. We could talk about blues, improv, boogie woogie, some great ideas. So what I'll do is I'll stew on this week, and stew last if you're watching, pun intended, and I will present some more official options for us to have an official vote next week. Thanks everyone, this was a fun one, and I'm glad that I didn't have any technical difficulties today. It's something to be excited about. I'm looking forward to wrapping up our song, which is called A Lovely Day at Home. It's become my COVID anthem at this point, guys, because it's a very happy song, even with some minor sections, and it's a very positive experience that we're writing together. So I've really loved this. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jeff Clem, for hanging out, and I hope you guys will check out his Mr. Jeff Kids show. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.